As always, I am Iyansaje Muse, the Black Madonna of the airwaves, bringing you the music, the mystics, and the mojo on Radio for the Cosmos 222.9 The Mothership. And we are celebrating Mother's Day on the Mothership with a Mother's Day roast. And this is the one for who I like to refer to as Mama PK McCary. She's an activist, she's an author, an amazing community mother, wise elder, but she's also a mother. So we want to kind of get the goods because we know our mamas be switching hats. So we gonna have us some fun this year and do us some Mother's Day roasting. And here in the studios, I have the daughter of PK McCary, Think Peace International, Erin McCary. How are you today, cuz?
I am blessed and highly favored, ma'am. How are you on this beautiful Saturday?
Oh, if I felt any better, I'd kiss myself. So let's get the goods because we know how sweet and loving Mama PK is, you know, in the community. I want to know, what was it like being raised by PK McCary? Give us some funny stories.
I loved my childhood. My mother was the best mom. She was the most unselfish person in the world, but I was deathly
Uh-oh, you breaking up just a little bit. Okay, now
okay.
you're good.
I was deathly afraid of that lady. I did not want to disappoint my mama because she did not play. That lady would backhand you so quick and then smile 2 seconds later like nothing. Is that me?
Yeah, man, our mamas be shape shifting, don't they?
The lady you all see today, peace, tranquility, and blessings. While I'm not saying that's not what she was 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago, honey, she did not play. I remember once I told her, Mom, I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to do that right now because one of my of the different persuasion friends told her
Mm-hmm.
mom what she wasn't going to do. And her mom was like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to do it. And so I tried it with my mama. Baby, she must have slapped me into the end of next week, locked me in my room, and told me, you will not come out, you will not eat, you will not do anything until you complete it. Baby, I did it so fast. Mom, I'm sorry. I won't
I
do it
bet
again.
it's so.
Baby, that lady, she was no joke, honey. She used to smoke Benson and Hedges menthols. She used to drink her a glass of
Oh,
wine in the evening time at the table. And if you came and disturbed her peace during that time, she would tell you a thing or two. A thing or two.
I
I
think that was my mama with Star Trek. That's why I thought my mom was an alien. Because you did not bother her during Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, or The Bold and the Beautiful. That was going to be a problem. I seriously used to think she was like phoning home or something. That in the
baby,
Twilight Zone. Star Trek in
right,
the
right.
Twilight Zone.
My mama's was Dynasty, baby. We were asleep when Dynasty came on, and if we came out of our rooms at that 9 o'clock hour to disturb her during Dynasty, baby, she was a mean mamma jamma. My mama did not play. You can't go to bed. Let me give you something to go to sleep. And baby, it was prime time. It was no joke. I tell people all the time, the lady you all have today, be be glad, be appreciative because my mother was not light on the you gonna act right or I'm gonna give you some act right.
Right? I used to wonder if my mama had a Napoleon complex because she was 5'2". Well, she is 5'2", and my dad was 6 foot. And he just wouldn't bother with it. He would just look at her. It should calm down. But I think my mama had a Napoleon complex or something. She was like that short war general, but when she showed up, she
But
showed up. Where do you think that do you think that fire in black mothers came because they lived the time that we only talk about in history? Or do you think, what do you think that
I
instinct is
believe,
all about?
I absolutely believe it came from the fact that they knew what we needed because of what they experienced. My mom is a civil rights baby. It was a different time for her growing up. Segregation. Um, it,
Mm-hmm.
it was important for her to ensure that I carried myself correctly. I spoke correctly. I remember going to elementary school when I came. We moved from Colorado back to Texas, and everyone said, "Oh, you're a white girl. You talk like a white girl."
Oh, you got that too? I used to get that too. Oh, you
And I was
talking
so
proper.
offended. Like that was an offense. My mom said, "What is
Uh-oh,
proper?
you chop.
Correct English,
There you go.
speaking correctly. You will always speak the way you're supposed. You're always gonna speak the way you're supposed to, and that's the way I raised you. And if they don't speak correctly, that's not on you. You come home to me." And so I I think they knew what we needed to be
Yes.
successful, to survive in this world. And without it, I tell these kids all the time, y'all couldn't have survived in my day because
Absolutely. And you know what? That brings the next. This is turning into an interview, but we're gonna get back to roasting.
okay,
Okay. Because my other
yes,
two guests were, male guests. And that's different. I want to talk about, mother to daughter energy, because I got a little uncomfortable, openly talking about ass whoopings that we got from our mothers. Because, some
right,
people
right,
think, oh, that was child abuse, and oh, that came from the post traumatic slave mentality. And that's partially true. I feel like that is a fragment in the pie chart. Because when I reflect on my childhood, I can recall, like I do a tally, and I'm honest with myself about which ass whoopings I did and did not believe I deserved, you know, and the ones I did
hmm
deserve outweighed the ones I didn't deserve. When I think
absolutely
about
agreed.
when I think about the discipline that came from not sparing the rod, I just kind of want to know your thoughts on that, because I'm like bracing myself, because when these interviews air, people are gonna hear about, our mothers, these beautiful community women that still whoop ass back in the day. So what do you think about that now, in contrast to the lack of discipline that children have today because there are no more ass whoopings?
I will say this. My mother was not a whooper if she didn't have to. She was a lecturer. I mean, she gets that honestly. She would, in my day, we didn't have this, and I had to walk, and this is the reasoning for me asking you to do this. She was very strategic in that manner. She whooped butt because it needed to be done. Now, granted, I do feel there were times unjustified, but of course, that's from a child's perspective. But I will
Mm-hmm.
say this: I never received a whooping or corporal punishment and felt unloved or felt that, oh, my mama was doing this because she hated me. Now I may have been mad at the time, but ultimately, when I look back as a child growing up, the whoopings that I got, or the, I guess, the punishments, corporal punishments that happened to me, were deserved. And it was after my mom was like the three strike lady. She
Yeah.
would, okay, I'm gonna give you a warning. I'm going to tell you I'm gonna whoop your butt, and you got one more time to do this. And then by that third time, it was kind of like, I'm tired of saying the same thing over and over again. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning I her. That type of
My
mom. She would
mom.
allow.
No, no, go ahead. It's a little bit of a delay when we do the video interview, so it's like you count to two and then answer.
Okay. So my mom, she would allow us to express ourselves. She would allow us to say, how we felt about things respectfully. But ultimately, she had the final
Mm-hmm.
say. And so it wasn't, I don't hear you, I don't value how you feel, but it was more so, I'm the adult, I know what's best for you, and you're going to do as I tell you to do, or there are consequences type of lesson.
I used to think, it was a mental thing when we would get whoopings because my mama would sit down with the belt in her hand and she'd be like, "Now, do you understand why I'm about to whoop your ass? Tell mommy why, so we're on the same page." And we would have like this pre-ass whooping consultation. It was terrible. It was terrible. But when I look at where I'm standing right now versus all the other girls my age that I thought had so much more freedom than I did, I'm glad she did what she did and raised me the way she raised me. So,
Absolutely.
how did your talk with Mama PK about womanhood go? When you started blossoming, how did that go?
So I got a story for you. Let me take. Well, like to here you go. I was a very um up a child that was very ahead of herself, very mature for my
Mhm.
age. I was very big for my age. So at 5, I probably looked like I was 8 or 9.
Oh
And
wow.
I went to a Catholic school. And like
Uh
I
huh.
said, my mom, we went to sleep 8:30 from the time I can remember being put to bed till about 9 or 10 years old. That was my bedtime, 8:30, my brother and I. And
Hmm.
when I was in kindergarten, I was sitting at the table with my Catholic school friends, and they were saying, "Oh, babies come from storks, and my little brother is going to be delivered by the stork tomorrow," and all of this extra. Well, my mother had told me the night before, because you remember I said when we got up, when her Knots Landing or her Dynasty was on, it was something to be said. But this particular time, she let me crawl into bed with her and watch Knots Landing, and the lady on
Hmm.
Knots Landing, she was having babies. And so I asked my mom, "Mommy, how did she get pregnant? Where did those babies come from?" So my mom explained it to me. A man and a woman that are married or together, they have intercourse, and the man sticks his penis in her vagina. And I mean, she explained the whole process to me, and I understood it. Oh, mommy, that makes sense. Yes, mommy. I was type of mature child. So fast forward to me sitting in school with my Catholic friends, peers, and they're saying babies come from storks. And I'm like, no, they don't. My mommy told me that a mommy and a daddy have intercourse, and the daddy has a penis which he
Oh
sticks into the woman's vagina. And I just explained the whole thing. The class was mortified. Needless to say, the headmistress came and, "What are you saying? That's blasphemy, and you're not supposed to tell." I'm like, "Well, babies don't come from birds. My mommy said babies don't come." That's what my mom said. So I got in trouble, went to the office. They called my mom.
my god.
My mom is like, "Okay, I'm on my way." She comes in and she talks to them, I guess, explaining. Look, I told my daughter that. I apologized that she came and shared it at school, but I'm not going to lie to my child. And I will discuss with her the appropriateness of conversations in the classroom. And when we got home, on the way home, I was upset because I was, why did I get in trouble? I'm a truth sayer.
Hmm.
Like, to this day, I don't like to be lied on, and I do not lie. I'm really and they got to know
Uh oh, you're
why.
breaking up.
And my mom said, "My mom, can you hear me?
Uh oh, you're breaking up.
That is for
There we go.
now." Okay.
Better.
My mom said, "Erin, I told you that because I'm your mom. And those children's moms have to explain that to them. It's not your job to tell those children's moms that birds, mommy, and that's not true." And she said, "We know that, but sometimes our truth will be exposed in due time for other people. It's not your job to expose it. And
Right.
so that was kind of a life lesson that, okay, we can have our own truths, right? Everybody don't believe the same thing, but I ain't, you're not gonna catch me up on that lie. Babies don't come from no birds, baby. My mama said, the do is done, and so that was like one of those
Yes.
life lessons that only your mom, that like you said, that mother-daughter relationship, only your mom can explain to you, and it's relatable, it's understood. Like I immediately understood that, okay, mommy, that was something you told me. In hindsight,
Uh oh, you're breaking up again. Uh
hey,
oh. Give us
okay,
one
what
second.
about now?
All right. Better.
No, 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 no. Yes, yes,
Yes.
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 So yes,
Yes.
those are one of those things. Those are one of those things that you just, it's trial and error. I'm sure my mom would not have given me all of the details had she known that I was going to be that child. She would have just repeated, but it was repeating
Right.
in the defense of truth, repeating in the sake of, I don't want you all to be misinformed. No, that's not where babies come from. But again, one of the many stories of Mama PK, that, and she got on those nuns like, my child is not in trouble. She didn't lie, but
Exactly.
I,
Oh yeah. When school started, I used to have to. My mother used to go to school on the first day of school, and she used to have to pull my teachers off to the side and say, "Look, my child is a piece of work, okay, in all the best ways. This kid goes to the library for fun, okay? The school is her this is her second school. Her first school is at home. So if you do not enjoy teaching, if you are not up for a challenge, let me pull her out of your class now
mm,
because she's going to challenge the information you give her."
mm,
And my teachers throughout the years, it was always very black or white. My teachers either absolutely loved me or they could not stand me. But my mom used to have to go to the school and give them a disclaimer about me from day one because I'm like, yes, let the games begin. Because, we had an encyclopedia set in my house. We had I don't know if you remember the real colorful childcraft books that had number one through.
I do.
y- Yes, I had
Yes,
those.
ma'am.
We had an encyclopedia set. So I would take my textbooks and sit them next to what I would read up in the encyclopedias. And if the energy didn't match, the teacher was getting a question.
Correct. Correct.
So my mom used to have to go up to the teachers as well. But this conversation about the birds and the bees, I saw a side of Shirley Jean I had never seen before. I mean, I had got to blossoming and all that. Cause see, I was a little tomboy. I thought my mom was really, prissy and debutante, but she had that firecracker side. My mother was not. My mama wasn't real foul mouthed, but when she did let a word fly, she made it count.
Right. Right.
Okay. So when I got to blossom in high school and girls my age, you know about Texarkana.
Oh
You know all
yeah.
about
You went to
Texarkana. Girl
Texarkana?
getting yes, Arkansas High School class of 2002.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, my whole family. That's where we're from. Okay, okay, come on.
That's why I called you cousin.
Family, okay, cousin. Okay, okay, okay.
Yes, that's why I called you cousin.
Come on,
And
cousin.
yes, it's true, listeners. We very well might be related, but
Very
that's
well
on
might be.
we'll shake that family tree later. We'll piece all that together later. So girls, some young ladies my age were starting to get pregnant, and I can't explain for the life of me. Something about that scared the hell out of me. I remember I was late to class that day because I had went in the girls' bathroom at the age of 14, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I promised myself that I would never be any man's baby mama
Come on.
at 14.
Come on.
And when I got to trying to talk around it, because my mama had just got off the phone with somebody who had found out that another young lady my age had gotten pregnant. And she made me sit down and she said, "Look here, you's a beautiful one. So mhm, don't get out here in this world thinking it's all about your little." And she said the P word, but she said it so slowly and nastily that it still sticks in my head to this day. Like, oh my God, she scarred me for life because I never heard my mom use that word.
Right,
And she
right.
looked me square in my eyes and said it like a snake hiss. And I'm just like, oh my God. And she said, I'm going to tell you something else. That thing between your legs is not a 401k. It's to pee, it's to bleed once a month, it's to drop a baby if you have one and have sex with your husband. That is not your retirement plan. Do you understand me? And I'm just sitting here like, I ain't even thinking about that, but I will take that information. And she like, these little boys are just testing their tools right now.
Absolutely.
And a man now, and so don't fall for this. I want you to have my baby nonsense, because a man that want to have a baby with you will first make you his wife and secure a home. If he ain't talking about that, he ain't talking about nothing. And I'm just sitting here like she was chewing me out like she wanted to chew out the girl that had got pregnant. And I'm like, I didn't get pregnant. Why I gotta hear it? She's like,
Gotcha.
I'm just letting you know. But then and I'm gonna ask you about, Mama PK doing this to you. My mama did a little reverse psychology trick on me, okay? Because she knew that I had big dreams. She knew that whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to do it big. Like I was go hard or go home. I was that kid in high school that got into every organization I could possibly make time for. So she sat down and she said, "So here's what's gonna happen if you get pregnant." Because by this time I had a boyfriend. And she said, "Here's what's gonna happen if you get pregnant. First of all, you can kiss college bye bye because your ass ain't going." And I'm like, man. She said, "No, ain't no big mamas around here. I'm done raising kids with you. Your baby is not gonna be calling me mama and you Ivory. No, you gonna get a little job out here. I'll do what I can to help you, but you will raise your child." And then she said, "I will not chase down the man that gets you pregnant because you were responsible for landing a secure husband." So you think about that when you out there winking at them little boys.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm just like, okay. And then she just switches her demeanor. Okay, now let's go shopping.
That,
Harpo, who this woman?
that that's the
So did
truth.
your did your mom ever pull stuff like that on you?
My mama was just like, no, you're not getting pregnant. That's not an option. Period. So she wasn't a mother that I never did the same thing twice. My mama wasn't a mother that was going to repeat herself. I learned that early on. And like I said, you
Oh yeah.
the three strike rule for me, I might push that second strike, but I wasn't going to the third one. Um, she just said no. She said, you're not getting pregnant. School is your job, and taking care of your
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities and your chores around the house. And that was like the end of that conversation. I was a tomboy like yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
I grew up around boys. And so for me, for a long time, boys like that just was not, I didn't see like boys
Right.
like me, or but boys made fun of me when I was younger because I was so tall and said such mean things to me. I kind of felt like I was one of the boys. So getting
Yeah.
pregnant when she said no, that's not an option, that was no problem for me because I didn't see myself being a girlfriend. I don't think I got a boyfriend until I was like 15 years old. Like it,
That was a yeah. I was 16 when I had my first boyfriend.
I saw it as more of a chore than boys stank. My brother stank. I knew boys did not take baths. They would come home from basketball, riding bikes, and getting bed, and they ate with their hands. Like,
Ugh.
no, boys were it. They were made of tails and snails and all of the wrong things. And so for me, I'm not going to say she didn't have to worry about boys, because of course I had my moments, but early on that was the last thing that I was thinking about. I'm like you. I wanted to be in everything. I wanted to go everywhere. My grandmother had me like a fashionista. I love to shop. I love to, go out to
Mm-hmm.
take trips. So yeah, a boy was the last thing on my mind. And she said no. I was just like, okay. Like it did. And so many of my friends were pregnant or I had friends in the eighth grade who had.
Oh, yeah, man, that's what I was talking about. Like, I got my flirt on. I had a boyfriend when I was 16. I flirted on with my crushes and all that. But I knew that come May, whatever, when I get this diploma, I am out. So don't, cause senior year, oh yeah, I was eyes on the ball. Because
Right.
my senior year was when the most girls got pregnant. And I'm like, y'all are getting tackled on a 1 yard line. What is going on?
Yeah. Right. 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 Right.
And so, at what point in growing and transitioning from a little girl to a woman, when did it really hit you how much of your mother's energy you embodied?
So funny you say that, because I always said I don't ever. My mother's so nice. She's so sweet. I say she's saving the world when she sits at her computer in the mornings and doesn't get off until late into the night. I I am a free spirit, and I wanted to be, in lack for lack of a better word, embody the ghetto essence of
Yes.
living. I wanted to be ghetto fabulous. I didn't want to be, proper and appropriate and do goodwill for people, and the legalities of politics and art. Like, I wanted to be the total opposite, or so I thought, of my mom.
Hmm.
I think in my early 20s, I realized that I embodied more of her than I ever thought or could have imagined I would do. I saw myself as the caretaker of all of my friends. I became the person everybody came to when they had problems. I was always the house. My house was always the kick it house, or everybody always came to
Yes.
my mom or came to me. Can I talk to your mom, because I don't think my mom will understand, or my parents this. I would bring my friends home from school that were mistreated and be like,
Hmm.
Mom, we have to let them spend the night, and take them to school because this happened to them, or this is going on. And of course, in true fashion, it was open doors. My mother never said no. She never told me I couldn't do it. So I, I never saw that, I guess, growing up. But when I got to be in my 20s, I realized that, okay, what I'm carrying on me is that nurturing spirit, that mothering. And I don't have any children,
Yes.
but that mothering that my mother was always to my community, to my friends, my brother's friends. And it's a wonderful thing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing, where I used to think of it as a bad thing, or something that I didn't want to do. But I've always had it in me. It's always been a part of me. And doing it just comes naturally because I'm from her. I'm a part of her. When they say you're gonna turn into your mama, or we
Gosh.
turn into our parents.
Yes. 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 Yeah, that's a real thing.
As you
That's
get
a
older.
real thing. That's why I asked that. That's exactly why I asked that question. Because, like I
Mm,
said, the other two guests on this feature are sons of the mothers. And so we can have that daughter to daughter talking about our mothers. And I've been waiting on this for a long time. And prayerfully, this will not be our only episode.
no,
We're
my
going to put
love,
that out there, put that in the universe to manifest.
receive it.
Because it was one time I caught it late. I caught a glimpse of it once when I was 13, and my mom had her church clothes laid out, and her hat was on top of everything, and my dad was asleep, or so I thought. My dad was the king of playing possum, but we gonna get to him on Father's Day. So I picked up my mama's hat and I put it on my head, and I kind of looked and looked and looked, and then I took it off and put it back on. And when we were eating dinner that night, my dad looked up at the table. He said, "You looked exactly like your mom when you put her hat on."
So he wasn't
And I
sleep.
was like, he was not asleep. I told you, my dad was the king of playing possum. I think that was one of his tactics. Now that I think about it, that was how he kept up with what was going on with in his house. He acted
Right,
like he
right,
was
right,
asleep
right, right,
when
right.
actually he was listening. He did that a lot. And the second time was later on down the line when I had first began my psychic journey. I think I was maybe a year into priesthood, and I was really feeling the changes. And I would call my mom, and I kind of, we'd have our hangout days, and I kind of just started letting it out. And I accidentally slipped and I cussed and I said, "Oh, mama, I'm so sorry. I have no business using that kind of language in front. I'm sorry." She said, "I know the crown that you wear is heavy. If you need to let it out, let it out. I'll let you know when you're doing too much."
Right, right, right.
And so I went slap off, right? And she's sitting there laughing at me. And I'm like, "Did I miss something? What's so funny?" And she just started giggling. She said, "You are your mother's child. Whew. You are your mama's child. You got your daddy's patience, but your mama's temper." And she thought it was funny because she was like, "It's like looking in the mirror."
Right, right.
And when I really thought about it, I was like, dang, I did pick up my mama's temper. Oh, that and the housekeeping. I don't play about the housekeeping
Come
because
on.
mama did not play about housekeeping.
Right,
And that's
right.
what I'm saying. Like back in the days of our mothers, that discipline really shaped us. You know, um, and to see the condition of especially young ladies today and the relationships with the mothers, it kind of makes me worry, but it also makes me rejoice.
Yes.
you know
That. Come on. Come on. Come on.
it makes me rejoice that I can celebrate my mother as a person, not just the role she played in my life, but in our views of them as human beings, because as women, they're the molds that we become whether we like it or not.
Agreed.
What Whether we like it or not. And
Because
so, what makes you the most grateful? Well, let me give my example first. Like,
okay.
what makes me most grateful for my mother is that we were mother and daughter, mama and baby. We even found ourselves on the opposing sides of the line a couple of times. Yeah, we had a couple of spars. I won't front about that. And the reason why I talk about this is because I think that time, one way or the other, comes for every daughter where she has to evaluate her mother and decide which parts she's going to keep and which parts she's going to evolve. And sometimes that does break out into conflict. But even when my mother and I were conflicting, I was still standing on the things that she taught me.
Yeah.
So it's like, you gave me all this strength. So we can't pick and choose areas where I bend my backbone. You built this backbone. And then on her side, she's like, "Well, I feel like I'm yelling at my reflection. So what are we going to do?" And then from there, we got to grow to respect each other as women. And I know people say your mama's not supposed to be your friend. I will say not at first.
Right.
But when you become a solidified adult, I think a friendship between a mother and a daughter is one of the most beautiful friendships that you can ever have. Because I'll be honest, I gave my mama the green light to cut up. I can't speak for my other three siblings. One day I said, "Shirley Jean," and she likes when I call. I don't, we that's the quirkiness of me and my mom.
Right, right.
Sometimes she allows me to call her by her name because I told her, I'm not being disrespectful. I just like your name, Shirley Jean. It's got a nice ring to it. And so when she get to cutting up, I'll be like, your horns are showing me, Shirley Jean. And she just start laughing. But I just one day, she had some things heavy on her. And I don't like when my mom gets heavy. And one day I just, when you lose your filter, I said, Shirley Jean, you done put in 6 decades of mothering. That's a mighty long time. What does Shirley need to deal with now? What does Shirley need? You done mommy for 60 years straight. And if we ain't got it right by now, it's not our fault. It's not your fault. It's ours. Because you and daddy did your job. Now we grown. And not young adult grown. We all grown. So what does Shirley need to deal with? What does Shirley need to let go of? What does Shirley need to do to make Shirley's life more balanced? How does Shirley put Shirley first more? Because you did your job with us. And I'm just thankful that I was able to give her that as a daughter. And I want to know, like, before we close this interview out, what's that experience like for you being a grown, fully realized woman and reflecting on your connection with your mother?
Well, I will say this. My mother was very open with me. Not to say that she wasn't with my brothers, but as you said, with mother and daughter relationships, the connection, the bond strengthens when we become solidified in our adulthood and we've gone through our trials. But young, early on, my mother explained to me, I'm not your friend, but I'm the
Mm-hmm.
best friend you'll ever have. And if you're honest and always straight and come to me first, there's nothing I won't do for you. I remember
Oh,
being
wow.
in school in high school, and I had a teacher, a white man, who he you said you have teachers who like you and teachers who don't like you. This teacher didn't like
Mm-hmm.
the whole class. He taught it at a predominantly black high school, and he did not like the whole class. So he was very harsh. And he had given us a test, and I had completed the test and turned it in, walked it to the front, waiting for the rest of the class. But there was a note being passed around, right? And
Mm-hmm.
somebody had drawn a big guy that was Fat Albert, but with no pigment, no coloring in it. And so I wrote Mr. Fry, the white Fat Albert. Well, in true form with me, and that's not going to do anything wrong, I got caught with the note. And he was livid when he opened the note up and he got the note and he said, I'm going to call your mother and you're going to get suspended. And I mean, he was just going just off on me. And I told him, I said, you're going to call my mom like at work for this? Okay. You sure you want to do that? Yes, I'm gonna call your mom and I'm gonna tell her you wrote this and drew this picture. This is disrespectful. And I was like, I didn't draw the picture, Mr. Fry. And my mom's not gonna believe that you said that. And this teacher told me, who do you think she's gonna believe? Me or you? Go to the office. So I went to the office and they called my mom down. And of course she came. And my mother was the kind of mother that she's going to ask me first. Tell me what happened because I don't lie to her. Your truth is what I'm going in here armed with. And so
Yes.
I explained to her what happened. And she walks into the principal's office, and this teacher is fuming. Your daughter is disrespectful, and she did this, and she had the class, da 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 da. And my mom asked two things. The first thing she asked was, did she finish her test? And he said, yes, she finished her test. And he said, did she pass it? Well, yeah, she got an A. Yeah, she passed the test. And so instead of giving her something else to do, you are you sent her to the office because she was passing notes. Not just she was passing notes, she was writing this disrespectful, whatever of me. I want her suspended. Well, I was like, well, no, she's not going to be suspended. And the vice principal, he loved my mom because my mom was one who, she was one of the parents who came up there. She's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
suspended, from what I see, you failed to manage your classroom, and she went through that. Now I'm sitting. By this time, I'm out of the meeting because I'm in the back. And I see them going back and forth. Of course, I can hear. I see them going back and forth, and she basically tells them, "Look, it doesn't seem like your class management skills were on point." And so from that, she took the test. She passed the test, and my daughter told me she did not draw the picture, but she did put the words on. And I will speak to her about that. But that's not a reason for you to deny her education for any amount of time because of
That's right.
your poor management skills, right? I,
Right.
we I'm gonna take her home today, basically. And when we come back, we'll start the day off better tomorrow. She'll be better tomorrow. So we walked out. I'm walking down the hallway with my mom. I'm smiling, everybody laughing, coming down the hallway. Oh my gosh, you got in trouble. Needless to say, come back to school the next day, and the man has a heart attack in the classroom. And it was so funny because everyone said that it was because I came back to school and he was scared of me and my mom. I made Mr. Fry have a heart attack in the classroom. But that's not the lesson here. That's not the lesson
Oh.
here. The lesson is, that my mother not only defended me and believed me, but showed me that when I tell the truth, when I am honest, that
Mm-hmm.
my honor, she will defend. My right, she will defend. And while I did get in trouble for being passing notes when I got home, I did not get suspended from school. And the lesson for me was that, hey, find something constructive to do instead of being destructive and catching a case, to go to class. But my mom's was,
Yes.
I love you unconditionally and I will defend you when you're honest with me. And so for me, that it pivoted my life because from that point on, it was a
Uh-oh.
search.
Please repeat the from that point on again, please. You're breaking up.
From that point on, I went on a search of just justice, of doing things right. I don't think we had any other problems, maybe a couple, but any other problems where my mom was called up to the school for actions that I did for the simple fact that it just wasn't worth that disappointment. And it wasn't worth having my mom having to defend my right against silliness like that. And so I'm thankful. I'm just appreciative that I had a great mom who loved me through and through and made sure that no matter what, she was my mother, but she was my defender, she was my protector, and she was going to take care of her child like no other. So,
Ashe. Oh, that just warms my soul. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview. I'm glad we caught it. So, the
having me,
three-part series is complete. Before we close this interview out, choose a song that you would like to play at the end of this interview to dedicate to your mother, because we got 13 minutes into the top of the hour.
Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye. Um, ain't no mountain high, ain't no
Ain't no
valley,
mountain high enough.
no
Got
river
it.
wide enough.
Got it.
We used to sing that on our way to Texarkana when she would let me drive at 14 years old on the highway
Oh,
from
wow. What
Texarkana.
was the first car you drove? I gotta ask, because Texarkana was the first roads I ever drove a car on.
A Cadillac. What is
You
it?
too?
It was a Cadillac Seville, a Cadillac Seville.
No,
That was my
that was
first.
the same car my daddy. I swear, the first car I ever drove was a powder blue Cadillac Coupe de Ville, and it was
It
my
was,
daddy's. But
it
I'll save a story where I hit the porch for Father's Day.
okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Mother's Day.
Yes, yes.
And we're
I
going to get
feel
back
too.
on up to the groove with Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I think that one going to go out to all the mothers. This is 222.9 The Mothership, and this is your 2026 Mother's Day Roast. This is a 222.9 The Mothership Internet Radio Breaking News Special Report.